Hey, what's up, horror fans? This is Vincent DeSanti, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of The Ghost Files. What's up, everybody? It's Friday night. It's May 30th, and you know what that means. It's time for The Ghost Files here on the Wamp Stomp Films YouTube channel. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like this video. Let's get this thing going. How's everybody doing tonight? Got a ton of people in the chat tonight. The chat was going off like crazy before I even got started. I was sitting here setting everything up, and you guys were already going nuts out here. So let's say some hi, some people out there. Sculptor Die, Brandon Scott Murphy was in the chat already, nice and early, blowing kisses. Good to see you, buddy. Lamontre, you're out there. How's it going, dude? I'm doing great, having a good week. Jacob Thompson, he said he was going to make it if he got the Dead by Daylight game done, and he did. I know he made it. There is. Bam, he's here. Gregory, Doc and Rocker Peck is in the chat. Johnny Horror, Cheesy, Corn Pop. Good to see you, buddy. Steve DMV and Allie Girl. Hope you guys liked the new intro. Pretty cool, right? I put that together pretty quick today, working on it. It's going to evolve over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to add more things to it. You know, I think like some behind the scenes footage, a little fun. You know, I'm thinking like it will be like crowdfunding, behind the scenes, other things, you know, and things will pop by. So it'll be pretty fun. Jacob's Hayward's mom. Hello, Jacob's mom. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. There's Tyler Adams. What's up, Tyler? Sent you a couple emails. Get back to me when you can, because I have some ideas that are gonna be some pretty fun. Jordan Harvey's here with his broken ass legs, but he loves the intro. That's awesome. Who else is here? Did I hear there's a Blake? There's a Blake? Oh my God, there's a Blake. People of culture, we meet again. Look at this guy. Coming in and just harassing my folks. How's everybody doing this week? It's been a cool week here at Wamp Stomp Films. We've been very busy getting work done across the board. We've got multiple crowd funds going on now. I worked on a film today with some really cool people, and I have some cool stuff coming up this weekend. So without any further ado, why don't we start getting into some of the the little intro stuff that I like to do, letting you guys know where I'm going to be and what's going on. StreamYard, who I use to stream right now until I figure out how to use Twitch and other things. I'm definitely going to need a lesson in that at some point. Got a new facelift, so now I got this different media system that's pretty cool. The only thing about it is that I can't change the order of slides, so I need to look a little bit closer, although there are thumbnails now. But let's get the first slide up. But what I need to do is change my background. I need to slide on over. That's not what I want. I want that. There we go. First thing up, bam, Pottsville Film Festival, Pottsville, Pennsylvania, not far from Philadelphia. I thought it was on the other side of the state, but it's not. I was wrong, but it's on the eastern side of the state, or easternish. I'm going to be there this weekend. It's going on right now. There's actually screenings tonight. And I think there's a VIP party tonight and a lot of really cool stuff. But I had work today. I actually worked on set earlier this morning up in Ipswich, Massachusetts with some pretty cool folks. So I was not there today, but me and Mo are getting in the old Bronco tomorrow and riding her out to Pottsville early in the morning so we can catch screenings tomorrow. We got the screening of Never Hike Alone 2 tomorrow night at 9:15 at the Yuengling Mansion. Yuengling, which was the official sponsor of End It All's one and only tour up and down the East Coast back in 2006 or maybe 5, back when I was in college and in a metal band. And Yuengling was our beer of choice. So yeah, gonna be cool to be at the Yuengling Mansion. There's some tickets right here. There's a little QR code if you want to grab some tickets this weekend. Anybody within driving distance, let's hang out. I'm gonna be in Pottsville all weekend. I'm gonna be there Sunday. There's a brunch on Sunday if you guys want to eat breakfast with me. And then there's gonna be an award ceremony, and then we're gonna have the rest of the afternoon, and then we're gonna mess off to some cabin in the woods. And then on Monday, we're driving back by way of Blairstown. So if you're in the area of Blairstown on Monday, I'm going to be driving through the original filming location of Friday the 13th. We're going to stop in. I'm going to show Mo some of the sights and sounds of Blairstown, and then we're going to head over to the diner, grab some lunch, and then drive our asses back to Massachusetts. And that should be a really, really good time. Coming up after Pottsville Film Festival is the Horror-Nacht Festival, which is the Horror Night Festival in Wolfsburg, Germany at the Delphine Post Wolfsburg, the Dolphin Theater in Wolfsburg, Germany. I cannot say that address. I wouldn't know how. Porchestrasse 39. If you guys want to check that out, if you're a European fan, I don't know how many European people I get in the stream tonight because it's like, what, 3 o'clock in the morning over there. But if you are, you're a warrior and you're up. Good for you. Definitely check out this festival. This is cool. They've been doing this for many years running. They got Demon, they got Terrifier, they got lots of really cool films that I can't remember off the top of the head. I didn't do all the slides this week because I was in a little bit of a rush because I was a little tired. But yes, that's going to be happening June 13th, Jason's birthday, which there's something else going on June 13th now. I can't remember what it is, but I'll remember eventually. Actually, no, we actually just picked up another screening, which is going to be in Texas, in San Antonio. So I'll have more updates on that next week. A good friend, well, not a good friend, but someone who I just met, a man by the name of Maurice, reached out from the San Antonio Horror Society. We're going to be showing a copy of the full ass 2024 2.5-hour ghost cut. That's going to be streaming in San Antonio. I'll have more information next week. I'll have a cool little intro video for that I'm going to be sending to them. So if you're in the area, Alley Girl, I don't know how far you are from San Antone, but we're going to be there as well. So that's going to be fun. I'm not going to be there, but the film's going to be there. It's going to be a good night. I'm going to do whatever I can to support that. Keep an eye out for that. Coming up after that is going to be Monster Expo. Actually, we're in New England, so it's Monster Expo. Dude, you going to Monster Expo, guy? I heard fucking Kane Hodder was going to be there, dude. You know that guy, he fucking played Jason 4 times. 4 fucking, can you believe that? Yeah, anyway, that's how we talk up here. Yeah, we got Kane Hodder. We got my good friend Miko Hughes coming, of course, from a million films, but the one we most know him for here on this channel, which is Dylan's New Nightmare. Looking forward to seeing Miko. That's going to be a real treat. There's also Mark Price. There's also Brett Wagner. There's also Brad Laurie. There's also going to be a ton of really cool folks up there from artists and other filmmakers and musicians, and hopefully some of the people in a film that I'm going to be in later on this summer or winter called Shiver. So hopefully I can see some of the cast and crew from that, which were really, really cool. That's not like an official announcement just yet, but we will have an official announcement for some of the stuff I'm being cast in the next things. Here's your boys card if you want to check that out. But anyway, it's Sheraton, the Sheraton in Nashua, 1 Terra Boulevard in Nashua, New Hampshire, 03062. You got to go up there, guy. You got to get some hiking in. That's where you get tax-free stuff in New Hampshire. So that's going to be fun. Let me see. Now that everything is out of order, where is the other thing I want? Here it is. Here it is. If in case you haven't heard, Crystal Lake Nightmares has changed its venue 2 months out. It will no longer be in Burbank where Monster Palooza is, which Monster Palooza is actually happening this weekend. So if you're out this weekend and you're enjoying Monster Palooza, I hope you have a good time. Yeah, August 8th through 10th at the Hilton at LAX, which is down in Inglewoodish. That's going to be fun. It's a little more commercial down there. It's not as fun as Burbank, but hey, come on out, hang out with me and a slew of other Friday the 13th people. Sean Cunningham is going to be there. Kane Hodder is going to be there. Judy Aronson's going to be there. The twins from part 4 are going to be there. Ron Sloan's going to be there. That's enough. That's all you need, right? Tom Matthews is going to be there. Me and Tommy are going to be back at the tables again. That's going to be really, really fun. And definitely looking forward to doing that. So keep an eye out for updates on this festival. There have been, obviously they've been moving things around. And it is going to be a fairly interesting experience, I hope. But I'm looking forward to it. Now, I'm really hoping forward to it. I trust that things are going to come together. It's not easy throwing this. And this is the first year. So give them a break, hopefully. But keep an eye on it. Just make sure that that's all going there. While I have you all here, again, this new setup for the Stream Duck thing. It's called StreamYard, but there's a duck thing. I'm going to call it Stream Duck from now on. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about Ghost in the Fog. Ghost in the Fog is currently on Indiegogo right now. You can support it at this QR code right here. We are just over $13,000, which is 26% of the campaign. We have about 18 to 17 days left, which is, you guys are making me nervous now. We really want to hit this campaign. We really want to get Ghost in the Fog on the final cut Blu-ray. I'm probably gonna have to send this out to the backers, this version of the Ghost Files, or maybe just spend another special message for them, which should be really cool. I just got to get you guys rallied around this. I need you guys sharing the link out there. I need you spreading the word. We need to get this thing made. We need to get this thing into an in-demand campaign so we continue to raise funds, because guys, it's not just about Ghost in the Fog, although it is. I want to get Ghost in the Fog done. But my goal, I want to get this thing in demand so I can raise extra money. So when I go to Crystal Lake Nightmares later this year, I can stay for an extra week and we can shoot more scenes for Never Hike Alone 2, which is going to end up in the final cut, and it's going to extend the runtime. You're going to get 5 or 6 extra deaths, but we need to hit that. We need to hit that goal. It's only at $13,000 right now. We got to get to $50,000, and we've raised a lot of money in a little bit of time before. But I'm imploring you, all 39 to 40 people that are watching right now, please get that link into your social media streams this week. Post 2, 3, 4 times this week. Talk to people in person. Get them lined up. I will say this, I didn't have much time to work on perks this week, but I am going to be introducing new perks to the campaign very soon. If you're a previous backer, there are also discounts that I will email to you. We expanded the discounts. There are now multiple discounts. There's the full, there's the box set discount. Oh, the box set, this little thing right here where you get this awesome case that's designed by Joshua Beeman, the cases, the box, the cases, the disc, it's all right there. You can have it all. They're going to be brand new pressings. I found someone last week who's going to be handling our brand new menus. When I tell you we're going to upgrade the menus from the previous versions, we're going to upgrade the menus from the previous versions, not just the stuff that's going to be on the discs, but the discs themselves are going to be really, really cool. They're going to have music, maybe some movies, playing around, or we're going to change the artwork. It's really going to be a brand new disc. And if you have the old ones, hold on to them. Those are going to become collector's items, because I can't even remember the name of the New Century Media is out of business. We're never going to print those ever again. They're never going to look like that ever again. They're never going to be like that ever again. And there's only a few thousand of each thing that are out there. These are now collectible items that in 10, 20 years, I mean, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of Never Hike Alone in a couple of years. Think about having the first edition Blu-ray right now. That red, I actually pulled out my first edition the other day while I was at the warehouse. And I was looking at it. I'm like, man, there was only 1,750 of those. So that's a pretty cool deal. Especially if you got into the latest round. Like there's only 2,300 first edition Never Hike Alone 2s that are out. There's only 1,000. Actually, there's only 500 red Jarvis versus Jason Never Hike Alone 2s. And there's going to be 500 black Jarvis versus Jason's, which the 500 black are available. And if you would like one, maybe I'll put them on the campaign too. But this is a shout out to Dr. Bruce Johnson, who I did not see in the chat just yet tonight, but he helped me design a brand new perk. I want your opinion on it. What do you guys think of this? The Never Hike Alone coffee cup. We changed our little emblem a little bit to take out the NHA. That was Dr. Bruce's idea. He was like, we need to see that mask full. And so I said, all right, I can deliver that. So took this great image that I received from Topher Westcott many years ago that I've been reusing multiple times. It's been on shirts. It's been on everything. And if you have any suggestions for perks, let me see. I got a little list right here of things I want to do. Let's see. We're going to do VHS tapes. VHS tapes are coming. I know that there's a vendor in town. They have not gotten back to me, but we're going to do VHS tapes. I think they're going to be limited. If I can do it, if I can figure it out with Kaiden, we may do a limited number pressing of a Never Hike Alone VHS box set. How cool would that be? So we're going to take a look at that. Obviously, I talked about the mugs. We're going to work on Jason figurines, not just any Jason figurines, but the animated Jason figurine. That's right. This little Jason right here to my left, or I guess my right on the screen. It's my left screen right. that, Jason, we're going to get that printed up as a 3D model. My good friend who's in the chat, Brandon Scott Murphy, can attest to this because he's going to help me out with it. He has a 3D printer. We're going to get a 3D model made. Tyler, that's what I hit you up about. If you could help me out with that, we can get that 3D model. We can get that over to Brandon. We're going to get these figurines up on the campaign and start getting them to you. I'm going to talk to Jeremy, see if we can expand our mask orders. I'm going to talk to Cody. I'm going to see if we can bring back the Pamela heads. And then we're going to talk about maybe some new t-shirts. And in fact, I heard back from an artist that got sucked into a black hole somewhere and is now back. The A Curse Never Dies long sleeve t-shirt, that's going to be completed. So you remember the image of Never Hike Alone 3 with Jason bursting out of the water with his head reattached and all the lightning. Well, that shirt is coming to the campaign very soon. The sleeves will say A Curse Never, like, what is it? A Curse Never Dies, It Only Waits. And on the back is going to be a giant tombstone with Jason Voorhees' tombstone, and then all of the dates that he's been killed over the years, but they're all crossed out until it gets all the way to 2017, which is the year that Never Hike Alone takes place. And who knows, because Never Hike Alone is going to start to get crossed out because Never Hike Alone 3 could be around the corner. But all that said, we're never going to make it that far unless you guys support and share this campaign. It's not just about supporting, it's about sharing it as well. And if you've been, a backer before, if you're still waiting on your stuff for Never Hike Alone 2, trust me, the stuff is coming. We've been pumping it out as much as we can each week. Mo's been really, really busy. She's been working all week. I've been working all week. So there wasn't much shipping done this week, but next week there'll be a little bit more free time. I'm hoping to start getting through more of the camper packs. Shout out to Kaiden for sharing his camper packs. And if you have received your perks, please share it on social media. Tell everybody how much you love Never Hike Alone and tell them that if they want what you got, there's a campaign going on right now that they can support, and they can get some really cool stuff that actually you don't have right now unless you've supported the new campaign. I think there's about 118 who have backed the campaign so far. We're looking to add about 300 more at least, if not into the thousands, because we've gotten to 2750 before. So I know that we can get a lot higher than that. So please support that campaign, and I will truly, truly appreciate it. And speaking of campaigns, I got another campaign for you. Today marked the launch of Slay. Slay is an independent slasher film directed by Kira Gardner, the daughter of FX legend and one of my favorite FX artists, Tony Gardner. It was written and produced by actor extraordinaire Jimmy Simpson. It stars an amazing cast: Aya Cash, Shawnee Smith, Zoe Luna, and a ton of other great people. Also, some Never Hike Alone alumni are on there. Evan Butka, Gonzalo D'Angino is also there. So Evan was my DP. Gonzalo was my gaffer, lighting tech. He's the guy who sets up all the lights and designs the lighting for it with Evan. They both worked on Slay. So if you like the look of the Never Hike Alone film, Slay looks even slicker because they had a much bigger budget. But they need your help to finish post-production. And right now they're on Kickstarter. That QR code will take you there. And I just want to do a quick screen share because I do have their campaign up right now. Not that one. Where did it go? Did I delete it? No. Come on. I should have that up, right? Oh, you know what? I think it has to be on the same thing. You got it. Yeah, okay, we're going. There it is. Bam. Share. So I'm on the page right now. Look at this. 26 backers, $15,000 in less than a day. This thing launched today. Look at this thing, guys. Here's the poster for it. This is Kid Face. This is their killer right here. Look at this. All the nice stuff that we got there. Jimmy Simpson, Kira Gardner, Zoe Luna. She actually helped create the story as well. Aya Cash from The Boys, Melina Weissman, Shawnee Smith from the Saw series, Sean Giambroni, Tyler Jackson. Guys, this is going to be a movie that's not going to YouTube. This is going to the streamers. This may go to the theater. And you all love getting your name in the credits of our films, right? Well, now you can get your credits into something that's going to stream maybe on Netflix. Maybe it's going to stream on HBO. Maybe it's going to stream on Amazon. Maybe it's going to be in the theater. And you can drag all your friends to the theater and make them wait all the way through the credits and be like, that's me, baby. I got a piece of this. There's lots of cool things. And one of the really cool things about this campaign that I really like is this stuff right here. Experiences with the cast and crew. Let's go down here. Look, you get GOAT access with Tony Gardner and Jimmy Simpson. So if you want to have a one-on-one Zoom call with actor Jimmy Simpson from uh I can't Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Black Mirror, what's the Dark Matter, his new show that he's on right now. If you want to talk to Tony Gardner, you get a one-on-one with Tony Gardner. In fact, they're doing a master class that will be hosted at Tony Gardner's studio that you can attend. And if you get the FX masterclass, he'll actually take a sculpt of your face. I mean, what else do you need to know? This is like one of the coolest things. I'm so proud to be a part of this. I'm so proud to be helping out with this campaign. Long story short, I'm gonna stop presenting that, and I'm gonna go back. No, I'm not supposed to be here. There we go. So anyway, this film went through the ringer. There was a huge issue in the back end where I don't want to get into the details. That's going to be all told by Kira at a panel that she's going to be doing on Monsterpalooza on Sunday. That's going to be hosted by Zoran Gavojcic from Dead Meat, who's also acting in, where is it? Ghost in the Fog. Zoran's going to be moderating the meeting. Tony's going to be there. Jimmy Simpson's going to be there. And Kira's going to be there to answer questions and tell their story about all the trials and tribulations of independent filmmaking. They're looking to raise about $150,000 in the next 40 days in order to afford post-production and beyond. And you can be a part of that campaign. So if you supported the Ghost in the Fog campaign and you're sharing that, please take some time. You have the next 40 days to also support Slay. And after Slay, Jason Rising 2 is going to be right behind it. And after Jason Rising 2 is going to be Ghost Chicken. So it is going to be a summer of Wamp Stomp films, crowdfunding projects. Get ready for some of the coolest shit you've ever seen. And in fact, now that I'm thinking about it, we probably need to think about doing some 3D characters for the Ghost Chicken characters down the line. So that's going to be cool. So congratulations to Kira on hitting 10% on day one in the first like 18 hours. They're already ahead of us. So on Ghost in the Fog. So let's get this going. Let's start supporting both campaigns and see how far we can go. There's one other thing I wanted to talk about tonight. Before I forget, I want to make sure I'm not skipping anything because I got everything out of order here. But I want to shout out to my good boy, my good friend, Killer J, who's going to be doing a Never Hike Alone live stream tonight on his channel. He's going to start doing, I think he's going to start streaming at 8:30. I think he's streaming right now, actually. And the watch party is going to start at 9 p.m. I'm probably going to wrap up around 9 p.m. So after this, definitely go over to the Killer J YouTube channel and check out a screening of Never Hike Alone. He's going to be streaming it with his fans. You guys should definitely show up and chime in. There's a special introduction video that I recorded this morning on my way to set that I kind of just saw an opportunity. I was like, you know what? I think I got this, and sent that over to him. So that's over at him today. So check out that stream tonight if you feel like watching that. You guys have been hitting up the chat real quick, so I'm going to go back to that in a minute. If there's any questions coming through, I haven't seen them yet because I have all my media up, but let's go over and see some questions. Look at Bruce. Bruce wants it all. More t-shirts, figure, another mask. These new perks sound great. Thank you, Bruce. You helped come up with some of them. That's right, Alterian. I forgot it for a second, and there's Brandon there to help me out. She looks a lot like my niece. Well, maybe she is. There's some pretty big names. Yes, they are. In fact, it's pretty cool because I've been getting on Zoom chats with Jimmy Simpson every other week, which is like surreal to me because he's an amazing actor. And also, here's a cool fact about Jimmy Simpson. You guys ready? You're only going to hear it here on the Ghost Files. Jimmy Simpson, first of all, huge Friday the 13th fan. And I found out that before Brad Caleb Kane was hired as Crystal Lake, and we'll get to Crystal Lake in a second. I know that's what we really want to talk about tonight. Jimmy was attached to another showrunner who was going for the job. And if he had been selected, Jimmy Simpson would have been Crazy Ralph. Think about that. I think that's perfect casting. I think Jimmy would have knocked that out of the park. And if Brad Caleb Kane is still casting, I hope he hires Jimmy Simpson to come in and be his Crazy Ralph, because that would just be too perfect. These perks makes me wish I had some extra cash. Yeah, read the email. I don't have any money over the summer. Oh, it's all right, Jacob. What you guys can do if you don't have the cash to support the crowd funds, you can share the links. You can just get it out into your systems. If you guys are in horror chats or if you guys are in horror groups on Facebook, please, on our behalf, take the link. Take the link and share it. I believe the link is in this video right now in the description, so definitely get that out there and do it. Oh yeah, he was in Westworld too. I forgot about that. That's right. Jimmy was also in Westworld. Jordan Harvey's here. He was already here and now he's back again. I guess he had to go put some ice on his broken ass legs. Jimmy Simpson is so nice. I love him as Mary on Psych. He was awesome to work with on set of Frankenbabies. Yeah, no, Jimmy's a super, like, he plays a lot of quirky characters and he plays a lot of, like, you know, he's played a lot of serious characters too, but like getting to know him, he's actually a very, like, he's an energetic, fun guy. So I'm definitely a big fan of his work, and I've been having a great time working with him. And speaking of this is a what Killer J is doing tonight, to talk about that a little bit. Killer J has been a big supporter of this. We want Wamp Stomp. Tonight's stream is all about supporting and spreading the word about Wamp Stomp films, telling new people about it, and getting on the horn about letting the Jason Universe, A24, Peacock, and Brad Caleb Kane know that we want to work on the show. We want to work with the companies. We want to be there and be a part of this. We want to live the dream. We made Never Hike Alone. We made this fan film, but now we want to work on the real thing. So I'm just going to flash these by. Brad Caleb Kane is on Instagram at Brad Caleb Kane. You guys obviously know at Jason Universe and at A24 and at Peacock. Anytime you do the We Want Womp Stomp hashtag, include these as well. Hopefully, eventually, if enough of you keep hitting the wall will break and we'll be able to get through the other side and have a conversation to just say, hey, man, what can I do for you? I'm here to do anything. What I'd love to do is actually just work on the AD team or on the set deck team. I just want to work on the crew. I have no means to think that I am going to be taking over anything or directing the episodes this year or writing episodes or anything like that. The professionals are doing the jobs. I totally adhere to that. I just want a chance to be there on set, contribute to the franchise in an official way, and have an opportunity to work my way up, because I know there's more seasons coming, especially if you guys support it. And that would be great. So speaking of all of that, let's get into tonight's big news with Crystal Lake this week. The big news this week were two things. We're going to start off with sort of the smaller one. Brad Caleb Kane on his Instagram shared this photo, which is by my side here, of the set being built on the sound stages in New Jersey. And right there, they're building Pamela's house. So that's Pamela's living room. And you can see here, that's a giant, a lot of people think that this is just a warehouse and that this is like some like weird way to do it, but this is like the most official way to shoot a film. When I worked at Warner Brothers, we were on the Warner Brothers sound stages. They, you know, the rooms look just like this, and they build, I mean, the things that they build on sound stages are ridiculous. I mean, when I worked on The Rookie, I would walk from, you know, well, we had like 3 or 4 different stages actually. And by all means, Crystal Lake may have 2 or 3 different stages with multiple rooms being built in them. I'm sure there are going to be cabins in one. There's going to be houses in the other. They're probably going to build bars, and any interior. Most interiors you see on TV shows aren't filmed on location. They're filmed on these sound stages. Like I remember we did a whole, you know, and they build these sets like per episode. Like I remember when I worked on The Rookie, we built like an entire like floor of a hotel or a floor of an apartment where the cops had to go and like do knocks on doors, and then you knocked on a thing, you had to go to the next sound stage, and that's where the interior of that set was. So, you know, it's really cool. This is just really cool to see this coming together. For all the haters out there and all the doubters that think the show is going to get canceled, it's absolutely not going to get canceled. They're starting to build this stuff because they're going into production next month. And with that said, cool news this week. They made another casting announcement, which was William Catlett, who has been in a million different things. Let me see. Here he is. Abigail, 1001. He was in Die Hard 2. He was in a bunch of, he's been in a lot of great films. He's a wonderful actor. So he's being added as a character by the name of Levon Brooks. When you go to, do I not have? I don't. No, I do have Brad things. So what Brad has to say about him is, and he shall be Levon, and he shall be a good man. So I have a feeling that this is going to be an ally of Pamela, or it's going to be someone at the camp or in Crystal Lake who is supportive of Pamela and Jason being there and maybe friendly, and is maybe going to watch in horror as Pamela enters her demise and starts murdering people and yeeting all the people from Crystal Lake all over the place. So this is a pretty cool news. I'm just excited for the fact that there's just more momentum going for the Friday the 13th for Crystal Lake as a series. I would assume that we're going to see more cast announcements over the next few weeks, because if they're going to start shooting in July, that means that my guess is 90% of the deals are probably done, or they're just waiting for signatures and they're getting ready to put everybody out there and start slewing it out there. So in the meantime, I'm running out of time. So again, we want Wamp Stomp. Help me make this pilgrimage to New Jersey and get on this show and somehow be a part of this, because I would love to be a part of it. And one little detail that I noticed this week that hasn't changed on the IMDb, which I find very fascinating, is this: Adrienne King is still listed as someone on the show. Now, Adrienne King was attached when Brian Fuller was on the show. Brian Fuller had officially attached Adrienne. But what I will say, and everyone was speculating who's she going to be? Is Alice coming back? Did Alice survive? Is she going to play an older Alice, or what is this? I will say this: if it is the same as what is before, she is not playing Alice. I know that for a fact. You can write that down. I could be wrong if Brad changed something, but if they didn't change the script as far as much as what they said they did before, and Adrienne is still attached and they haven't removed her from the IMDb Pro, she's going to be on the show. I'm not going to say what she's going to be, but she's not going to be Alice. But she's going to be in a really cool role that's going to be something very unique, and I think that's kind of cool. And if I don't know if that's official, but I'm definitely rooting for them to bring back Adrienne. I'm rooting for them to bring back some alumni and just give them some time to shine, which I always think is really nice when you give the guys time to kind of do that. So with all that said, I'm going to bring back the full screen, Vin. But you know what I never did? There we go. Let's get to the comments. Let's get to some. Holy shit, Marcy. I come back and whoop. Be honest with your opinion on this, Vince. I know you want to be supportive of Brad, but do you have faith in Brad as Crystal Lake showrunner? Who would have you imagined as the showrunner? So let me talk about Brad Caleb Kane a little bit. Brad, funny enough, is most known, or is very, from what I can tell, other than his writing thing, he was the singing voice for Aladdin. He worked on Aladdin. I actually know some people. I worked with a guy named Will Finn, who was the animator for Iago on Aladdin, which is pretty cool. But not to say that connects us in any way, but so that's what his background was. He was a singer, he was a musician, and he became a writer. And it just so happens that he was a writer on Tokyo Vice, which was one of my favorite shows of last year that was on HBO Max. I love Tokyo Vice. The show kicks ass. He was on Black Sails, which actually Brian Forrest, my stunt double for Jason Voorhees, was on Black Sails. He also was a co-writer, I believe he was a showrunner on a Netflix show called Warrior, which was really cool, kung fu action. And then he's also the co-showrunner on Welcome to Derry. So do I think that Brad Caleb Kane has the chops to do Friday the 13th? Yes, very much. There's actually a podcast that I got to listen to that he just did. I want to hear him talk about it a little bit. I'm not sure if he does, but what I can tell is Brad Caleb Kane's Friday the 13th fan card is legit. This guy knows Friday the 13th. I believe he sang backup vocals on one of the songs that appeared in Freddy versus Jason. The guy has been traveling around Blairstown. He's the showrunner. And guess what he did? He brought the show back to New Jersey and back to Novi Bosco. So what more could you really ask from anybody? Because remember when Sean Cunningham was saying, oh, they're going to take it to Australia and shoot in December. That never happened. These are the things I'm talking about. Like these little nuancy things that you can tell when somebody just gets it. And I can tell that Brad gets it. And I'm a big fan of what he's doing. I think he's taking a very, cool, calm approach to sort of everything he's doing so far. He's been very cheeky on Instagram and social media, just giving fans a little bit of a tease. But I'm really, holy crap, Marcy, you are out of control. What do you feel about the original ideas for Crystal Lake before it got changed with Brian Fuller, Kevin Williamson attached as writers, but also maybe casting Charlize Theron as Pamela, and would have adapted each movie? Well, see, that's the thing. I from what I understand, the scripts, the show, like A24 and Peacock, well, Peacock paid for a show. They want that show. They want that script. They want that outline. I think that to a certain degree, Brad had to stick to that plan. But what I heard and what I read is that he removed the quirkiness. So when I talked to Brian Fuller said that he very much wanted it to be sort of a Twin Peaks type show. He wanted the quirkiness of Twin Peaks in Friday the 13th. And I think that might have been part of the rub. I also know that Brian wanted to shoot it on film, which would have made it a lot more expensive. And I also know that he wanted to cast Charlize Theron. I also heard Sandra Bullock at one point from somebody else, another source of mine. I don't know how true that was, but what I did hear back was he wants to hire a Oscar winner to play Pamela Voorhees. So I think that was pretty cool that he was aiming high. But I think what happened with Brian was his show was very expensive and they approved it. And then the writer struck and then the actor struck and everything changed in Hollywood and all the deals changed in Hollywood. And Peacock came back and said, remember how we said we're going to give you X amount per episode? Well, now cut that in half. And with the product in Brian's eyes for his vision compromised, he decided to walk away because he can do that. He's got probably a million other projects that he can jump onto and run with. And you can do there. Ooh, Knight Rider. Look at this. What's this information? He's playing the chief of police. Who's playing the chief of police? Levon? That would be interesting. I'd love to see CJ Graham involved in a role. He's so fun at conventions. He is fun. I just saw him at Monster Expo in Fairhaven. And we were over there having a good time and he was scaring the people in his line, whacking shit with his machete and stuff. So that was fun. Really, Brian wanted to do it. I thought he wanted to go a bit darker with the material. Yes, he did want to go dark with the material, but he was going to be quirky, Twin Peaks style. I don't think I've given anything away yet. I didn't sign an NDA, so I can say whatever I want. I'm a loose cannon. So you got to hire me now, Jason Universe, because I know most of the details, seasons 1 through 4. And that's right. There's supposed to be 4 seasons in a movie. So hopefully, don't go to what? Hang on. So far, Victor is the only one associated with the show as a producer. Well, that's not necessarily true. Mark Toberoff, who is Victor's lawyer, and then Robert Barsimian and Robert Barsimian Jr. for Horror Inc. So Friday the 13th LLC, Victor Miller and Mark Toberoff, Horror Inc., the Barsimian family, and then some of the people they've mentioned in these articles about who's running different engagements and actions and activations. That's Jason Universe, is sort of an amalgamation of both those companies. And so one thing that I did some research on last week, to figure out what's going on with, by the way, Marcy, wow, I'm floored and flabbergasted by the amount that you just dropped on this stream. Thank you so much. This is the most I think I've ever made on a stream. Except for one time during the Never Hike Alone 2 campaign when someone bought a perk through this, which was kind of funny. But thank you so much. Yeah, rest in peace, David Lynch, for sure. Well, here we go. I always found Twin Peaks had lots of intentional comedy as well as some pretty dark stuff. Great show. And I think that's what Brian's sort of tone would have been. But I mean, it still would have been cinematic and good storytelling. And, Hannibal's an amazing show. Everything that Brian's done has been really great, which he's still got that movie Dust Bunny, which is supposed to be coming out. I wonder when that's going to drop. But in the meantime, it's going to be an interesting it's going to be interesting to see what actually changes in the show. We're going to see, so anyway, if they follow the same pattern, we should see 4 seasons. People are wondering like, well, why don't they do stuff with Jason? Oh, I remember what I was getting to. So let's talk about the Jason stuff. Oh my God. I'll get to you again, Marcy, in a second. I'm loving you. ADHD is a hell of a drug. But what I was saying was the hitch in the Jason universe. I figured it out, and I didn't figure out. Someone helped me figure this out, but I did notice this. I don't have my coffee cup on me, but what I noticed is when I flipped up my coffee cup the other day, and when you look at the bottom of NECA figures, Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees are the property of New Line Cinema. So Jason Universe is operating in this bubble where they're trying not to upset New Line, because New Line owns the big guns of Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees. And so if they step across those boundaries, they got to start paying New Line Cinema, and New Line Cinema's got to be involved. And maybe that's who needs to be involved with the next film as well. And because they're doing this series, they're relaunching it from 1 because that gives Victor and Toberoff. I'm just making sure I'm not burning anything. Maybe I think Mo's cooking something in there. They want to kick off Crystal Lake because they got to get Pamela and young Jason and all of those things that are in Victor's side of his rights. They need to get that on screen. They need that to establish the base so Victor can start earning those residuals and start taking in some money for Friday the 13th LLC. As that starts to expand, we have Horror Inc., who owns Jason Voorhees as an adult and some of the other things about the franchise. And so they're going to start to reintroduce new versions of those characters. Because as you remember, if you remember Friday the 13th, the game, each individual character that they had in that game, 1 through 8 and all of that stuff, they were each individual licenses that were licensed out by Horror Inc. But I think they're also semi-owned by New Line Cinema and maybe Paramount as well. So they don't have access to those old designs. So that's why they came up with that new shitty ass design that everyone hates. Or I guess most people hate. A lot of people are a lot of lukewarm on it. And a lot of non-Friday the 13th fans are sort of like, looks like Jason to me, which, God damn, that is annoying. It's like somebody coming in who doesn't know shit about like baseball, walking there and be like, why don't they kick a field goal? The mask sucks and we all know it. And it doesn't look like a thing like Jason. It looks like wish.com Jason. That's why they need to bring in Brandon to help kind of fix that stuff, help me fix that stuff, or just fans just ask in general, just fix it. I'm sure if you asked Greg Nicotero, because he did not get to design the mask, what it looks like, I'm sure he'd say the same thing. But let's get to Marcy again, because Marcy is coming in with the heaters tonight. Could you see A24 as the holders for Crystal Lake? My perception was at first it was going to be ruined by their usual style, like indie artsy fartsy style, but I'm confident now about that since I saw X, A24's X. Yes. Yeah, I mean, A24, I get it. They have a style. Hereditary, and what are they, they joke about it, how like there's ambiguous endings and there's all these different things. What we can say is that, what A24 is going to bring to what are they going to bring to it? They're going to bring quality. A24 films, whether you like them or not, they're shot well, they're acted well, they're well-told stories, they're different. It's not the same old slop you get from some of these other things that just keep seeming to turn out the same movie after the same movie of like low quality standard. This is going to be elite shit. This is going to be something that Friday the 13th has never seen before. They've never had anything on this level as far as, creative involvement from people who really care about the franchise and are trying to expand it and tell story from a perspective of not just you're going to get more boobs and blood up on that screen. It's going to be about the story. And when I talked to Brian about the series, the thing that really encouraged me the most, and I think is going to be something that carried across to Brad Caleb Kane, is that everything about Friday the 13th comes down to one thing: the relationship between Jason and Pamela, and what that relationship is like. How much do they love each other that at the point when Jason is either dead or presumed dead, that Pamela is going to take it upon herself to start taking her revenge and start killing people. And that when Pamela dies, that Jason loves her so much that he's going to come back in her honor and start carrying on her revenge as the arbiter of the death curse until something else happens to him and he becomes supernatural down the line. I do feel that from what I've heard before and what I've seen so far from the design that they've shared, this Jason that we're going to get the origin story of how Jason went from the lake to an adult. That story is going to be told. It is going to be told in detail. And my feeling is that we're not going to get an undead revenant Jason. We're getting a completely 100% alive human breathing Jason that is just going to be really, really tough to kill. I believe that paints them into a corner to a certain degree. It limits the story capability to only go so far. But you're only going 4 seasons and you're only kind of encapsulating, which, if you remember, Friday the 13th was, it was a span of, maybe 2 decades of Pamela doing sabotaging and then killing everybody in 1979. And then 5 years later in 1984, it's Jason going on a weekend killing spree. So Jason, at least through seasons 2, 3, and 4, has to survive a weekend. So I think he can at least do that. And we'll see what kind of happens there. We have some other questions coming into the chat. Remember, if you do want to get your question up, Marcy's got the right idea. Super chats are the best way to get my attention. I will jump right to your question. I will find it right away, but I will. So Knight Rider, I need you to confirm this. Send me a link, baby. Put a link in the chat. Where is this? Let's see. I'm going to research this right now. Levon Crystal Lake Sheriff. Let's see. What's that's going to be interesting. Hold on. Oh, that's right. That's not right. We'll look it up. You guys got to hold on. Crystal Lake TV show Sheriff. Okay, in the upcoming Peacock's upcoming Friday the 13th prequel series, Crystal Lake, William Cutler will play the character of Levon Brooks, who is a major role. According to Bloody Disgusting, Linda Cardellini is also starring as Pamela Voorhees. I don't see anything just yet, but I need to know what your source is, Knight. We need to talk, baby. Let's see. Wild that y'all gave you an in-depth info without an NDA. How did that happen? I have to thank the fans for that. Fans pinged Brian enough times to where, and I think Brian was talking to a fan that they had a back and forth, and they were a big Never Hike Alone fan. And it literally took me almost a year to get Brian on the phone. Like, Brian hit me up over Facebook Messenger and said, "Hey man, I love what you did. I saw that thing you did with Tommy and young Tommy for Never Hike Alone 2. Really good work. I love what you're doing. We should talk sometime." And then I chased him down for a year, and then we finally got on a Zoom, and he told me about the whole thing. But, I'm not going to sit here and spill the beans on everything. I'm only going to say the things that I hope get Friday the 13th fans excited for what's coming. And I don't know exactly what Brad is keeping and what's going, but I was able to talk to Brad, and we just talked shop about Friday the 13th. And like, the guy's a true fan. It was, like I said, I was really sad when he went, because what he pitched me was awesome. But hopefully, a lot of that stuff survives, and we'll see. Can't wait to watch the show. I just fear that it won't be a big hit, as too many just want to see Hockey Mask Jason go nuts as usual. Yeah, that's my concern too. I feel like people aren't going to give it enough attention, but after season 1, it's 3 seasons of Jason. It's Jason. And there's other people that I know that were supposed to be attached to this thing that I don't know if they're still going to be attached because of the changeover, but you're going to see other alumni come back too, which is going to be really, really rad. I actually like the idea to hire an actress that usually isn't perceived to play a haunting, creepy mother figure like Pamela. So hiring Linda Cardellini feels like an unexpected great choice. Yes. Also, probably not as expensive as Charlize Theron, but great. And you know what? I just got this sense that somewhere deep down, Linda got this role because she's a huge fan of Friday the 13th. I just feel it in my bones. I'm just going to put that out there. What I'm still waiting for are interviews for people to kind of just come out and talk about the roles and talk about what they're doing and talk about how excited they are. I would love to be a part of that press team. A24 Peacock, Brad. If you want me to sit back with the crew and get behind the scenes footage and do interviews, I would love to do that. But we'll go. Let's see. Crawling Chaos, what you got? I hope I'm wrong. Could there be they're aiming for a mature audience since Friday the 13th is an older franchise. I think so. I mean, we're all older. I think majority of the franchise are people who watched in the 80s and 90s, who grew up like Brandon and I and a lot of people here. I see your questions, Jacob. And, all that fun stuff. We have new fans. New fans played the game. So they're a little younger and they might need something, but I don't think young fans aren't watching TV. So it is an older audience. I think they're playing to an older audience. And that's what I've always said. I feel like Friday the 13th was like a Halloween style movie away from really hitting its peak because, Jason Lives is great. Friday the final chapter is good. Part 2 is good. Part 1's good. But there's, little things about them that don't sort of like, they're sort of either too campy or they focus on other things. But one that was just focused on the story, sort of like Never Hike Alone is, I feel like will rise above. And one of the reasons why Never Hike Alone and our stuff rises above some of the other films in the franchise is because we took it serious and we grounded it and we made it scary again. And that's what it's going to need. If it's too campy, if it's too funny, if it's too goofy, it's just not going to be the same. And there's other people out there doing it right now with other characters. And that's a completely other tone that doesn't really sort of, I don't know, it's just not my style. And I'm looking forward to it being a little bit more serious. I want people to want to tune in and see some drama along with their horror. I'm sure there's going to be comedy too. You just got to kind of let the whole thing settle in. And I think once Welcome to Derry premieres, I think we'll get a decent taste of the style of quality that we'll see. So we'll have to see there. They should cast Stevie Wilder as young Jason. Yes, they should. Yes, they should. Or they should cast him as young Tommy Jarvis. Maybe there's going to be a young Tommy Jarvis in the show. Maybe they'll put him on because he looks like a goddamn spitting image. But with that said, I still think Toni Collette could have been an awesome Pamela. Yeah, I believe that Toni Collette could have been an awesome Pamela, no doubt. There would have been a lot of great Pamelas, but I think they made a good choice. And I'm looking forward to doing that. Hey, Jason Nike's here. What's up, Jason? We had a good stream last week. Reminds me of Fede Alvarez talking about making Alien Romulus. He said that he encountered several so-called Alien fans on set who actually did not know much. Yeah, no. So one of the things that pissed me off about the 2009 film was when they interviewed all the actors, they all said the same thing. They said, "What's your favorite Friday the 13th?" And they all said the first one, which was bullshit because not a lot of people love the first one as their favorite in the series. So that made me know that none of them actually watched him. I think it looks like Jason from the Horror Ringtones app. That's funny. Hey, what's up, Crawling Chaos? Though with that said, I would have pissed my jeans if Blumhouse was the Friday the 13th holders. I will say this. Marcy, look at you. I'll get to that one in a second too. But I'm going to start with this one first. Ryan Turk is over there at Friday at Blumhouse. James Wan is over there at Blumhouse. If it ended up in their hands, I'd have complete faith. Ryan knows what he's doing. James knows what he's doing. James is a mega heavy hitter. I wouldn't be alarmed if they got it. I think that a lot of the issues that I think people have with Halloween comes from Danny McBride and I can't remember the director's name because I have a bad memory. I have ADHD, so names really always escape my head. But you guys know what I'm talking about. I really think it came down to their taste because they obviously weren't listening to John Carpenter. But I really think it came down to like their specific choices. I feel like James Wan and Ryan Turek, and if that's the team that comes behind that, I think you get a better thing. Jacob's got some. I have some questions. One, my mom would love an NHA style vinyl sticker for her car and a mug. And Pamela had perk. If the screen use props haven't been shipped to me and my mom might be at Crystal Lake Nightmares. We're gonna actually get those to you very soon. I've been collecting boxes to build it because you have such big things that need to be shipped. So we got to sort of find a way to get it there. I'm not going to travel with the props because they're so friggin' big. But it's just, they're very delicate. And I don't want them to break on you. I just got to kind of put it all together. We'll get them. And plus I'm waiting for your VHS tapes as well. A24 is full of bangers. Just listen to their hard catalog alone. It's great. Yeah, no, I agree. I think they hit more than they missed for sure. Following Jason from Lake to Hockey Jason could be like a movie in a violent nature, following the killer a lot more than the standard slasher films. I'm going to pause really quick because I'm not going to say that they're going to do In a Violent Nature, but there's an In a Violent Nature-ish aspect to something in the show that Brian pitched to me. Very unique, something that has never, ever, ever been done before in Friday the 13th. And I really hope they stick with that because that's going to be really, really cool. The question of how the heck Jason got from drowned boy to huge adult is the biggest unknown area. And that's one of the things I talked to Brian about. Brian, we were sort of talking about it, and he was like, I don't know if fans are really going to go along with this ride with me, but I'm going to take it on this journey because that's the journey I want to tell. And that's what I told him. I said, the success that I felt that I had with Never Hike Alone, not that it compares to everything that Brian Fuller does, but one thing that I approached, and my approach was always, what do the fans want to see? As a fan, what do I want to see? So Never Hike Alone was, what do I want to do? What's my wish as a Friday the 13th fan? I would love to walk around the actual Crystal Lake. How cool would that be? Not just going to Nobi Bosco and seeing it as, an actual camp, but I mean, go into a world where you could actually go to Friday the 13th and walk around and really, and touch the walls and look at the things that are actually there and just kind of bask in the moment. That's what that film was about. And then creating that, if I went into the woods and ran into Jason Voorhees, could I survive? Then it was Jason in the snow. We always wanted to see Jason in the snow, so we may Never Hike in the Snow. We gave fans something that they want. And Never Hike Alone 2, we wanted one more Tommy versus Jason. We gave them the Tommy versus Jason that was the ending that we really loved. Not the Jason Goes to Hell thing that happened, but the one that we really felt like the story that I felt the series was building towards actually Tommy putting Jason down once and for all and doing it for good. That's what I wanted to do. I answered those three things for fans very specifically. And there are other things that fans have always wanted to know. How did Jason get back from Manhattan? I have another story about that. But how did Jason go from boy to human adult? There are two different ways. There's the Revenant way, and then there's this way that I think they're going on the show. And that is going to be an interesting story, because the story is that I've always had an issue with this is, why would Jason leave his mother? Why would Jason separate his mother if they're inseparable? And the only thing that I have come up with that actually makes sense is that Jason leaves because he feels like he's getting in the way of his mother living a full life, that he's keeping her from falling her in love. She's more worried about him than she is her own well-being. And she's also probably smothering him a little bit, and he wants some freedom. And maybe he's just sick of being bullied. He's sick of trying to fit into society, and he's just going to go, he's going to fake his death and run off in the woods, and everyone else's life is going to get better because he's not a part of it. And what he doesn't realize is that his mother really, really loves him. And so when she thinks that these campers weren't watching him and he died, she starts murdering them. And then she gets yeeted. And he watches it happen. And he goes, oh my God, this is my fault. Well, now I'm going to carry on your rage, and I'm going to kill everybody who comes around here for killing you. So I think that that's probably, and Brian did not pitch that to me. I'm not saying that is there. That is not official. That is my pitch. I'm going to put that on FanDuel as what do you think the Friday the 13th franchises are going to do with the story of Jason and Pamela? That's my guess, if I had to guess, of what I think is going to happen. But let's go into Marcy's world, because she's just doing it tonight. Another super chat question is, would you mind an A-list actor or well-known actor to play Jason, like David Bautista or Tom Hardy, and maybe even like Kevin Nash, or should they keep stunt actors? It depends. So remember how I said something about In a Violent Nature stuff? I think Jason is going to be a little bit more of a character than he is in the movies. He's not just going to be a stalking stunt guy who's just hacking and slashing and wearing prosthetics. I feel like there's going to be some acting involved. Not that he's going to be delivering Hamlet on the end of the dock before he kills somebody, or delivering speeches like Hans Gruber, but he is going to be selling body emotion. Now, look at someone like Derek Mears. Derek Mears was in Swamp Thing, and he had to play the role. You know what I mean? He wasn't just being the stunt guy. He was also Swamp Thing as a character. So there are stunt guys who can act. Would I like to see David Bautista? Yeah, I think David Bautista could do it. He's got the chops. He's not as yoked out as well. The only thing I don't want to see is, I don't want to see bodybuilder Jason. I don't want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger, yoked out. I can bench 400 pounds with my teeth Jason. I want to see a woodsman. And a woodsman, I feel like Tom Hardy would be too short. I feel like Kevin Nash would be too old. I don't think his knees are working that great anymore. But I think that I'd have to look, but there's probably, some people out there like Hugh Jackman at one point said he wanted to play Jason. Hugh's 6'2". I feel like I said last week, Jason to me, because I'm 6'3", 225, 220. Jason is 6'3", 220. Richard Brooker was about 6'3", 220. Ted White was 6'5", 240. But he wasn't muscular. He wasn't lifting on the weekends. He was slamming back Budweisers and riding horses, and he had a belly, and he had long, gangly arms that weren't defined. Jason's not out there doing snatch curls. You know what I mean? He's not out there deadlifting. The only thing he's deadlifting is dead bodies, and climbing trees and chopping shit down. He's a lumberjack. He's lumberjack strength. He's swinging axes. He's building houses. He's shitting in a fucking toilet in the middle of the woods. He's a ruffian. That's what he's out. Wait, is Linda a fan of Friday the 13th? I don't know. I just got a feeling that she is. This is the best answer all night. Vincent needs to star as Jason. I would love to do that. I've been working out all summer. I'm back in Muay Thai. I'm back in shape. I'm in the best shape I've been in years. I'm not as stressed as I was on Never Hike Alone 2. So I actually lost a lot of stress weight. I actually got some of my hair back because I lost hair because I was so stressed. But yeah, no, that's one of the things that I've been really training my body, and because I want to do more stunt work anyway, aside from all this Friday the 13th stuff, I got to do that work with Cortland Gordon doing the Star Wars thing, which should hopefully release, I don't know, some months. But that's just a little taste of what I'd love to do more of. I'd love to do more stunt acting. I got more acting roles come up where I'm going to try and take some more stunt stuff on. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Moist checking in. If you want to know details about this, it will be a perk for $1,000. Yeah, if you want the entire 4-season pitch of Brian Fuller's Friday the 13th, you can slip into my DMs and you can offer me a number, and I will take you through the entire series of what it was going to be. And I'm telling you, it's worth every penny. Marcy, I think what I want from a Friday the 13th series is to still have fun with the Friday the 13th concept, but maybe deepen the lore more and maybe showcase some of the history that haven't been told yet in the franchise. Marcy, if I had a Pee Wee Herman fucking word of the day, it would be this comment right here. That's exactly what I think a lot of Friday the 13th. I think serious Friday the 13th. I'm not trying to gatekeep here, but I'm talking about people who have invested their friggin' time into Friday the 13th. Okay, that they've been on chat boards for years, that they've talked about it with other fans, that they've gone to conventions. I feel like there's a lot of people out there who just want it to just be a better production. In the 80s, they were just slapping these movies together to make money, but there were characters that could have been developed. There were storylines that could have been told, and they abandoned them all for the sake of trying to make $1. Now they're not necessarily having to do that anymore, and they can sort of focus on story, and they have 12 movies to look back on and come up with the best storyline to carry this franchise not only through these 4 seasons, but into films and hopefully multiple films, because that's what's so important. If you create a solid foundation, if you put all the facts in place and you put all the rules in place in the first film, it sets the guideline for where it can go. Now, a good example of this, for those who are worried about well, we don't want Friday the 13th to get too serious. Well, actually, I'll leave that comment up, actually, Marcy. They don't want Friday the 13th to get too serious. Well, here's one thing about that. It doesn't have to get too serious. All right. It doesn't really have to get all that serious. It can stay serious. And I would say, look at Godzilla. Look at Godzilla in the American version, where we started with Gareth Edwards, where Godzilla was on screen for 2 minutes. He fights the Mutos at the end, but other than that, he's not there. And everything was centered around what would the military do if a kaiju actually showed up? And they kept it really, really serious. And then he did King of the Monsters. And the seriousness sort of loosened up a little bit. It got a little bit more funny. They added a little bit more jokes. And by the time they got to Godzilla versus Kong and Godzilla times Kong, these things are basically Marvel movies now. So what could I see happen? I think if they start serious, they just get something that locks us in. They get something that gives fans what they want. We get that, we get a nice meal of just, it's prepared right. The story's told well. It gives us a little bit of an emotional tug. We feel for the characters. And then as the series starts to go forward and they get into the films, and maybe if Jason does eventually transition into Revenant form, that at that point, we can start to pull back on the seriousness. We can start to have a little bit more fun. We can start to bring in, newer directors. We can start to bring in people with wild ideas, and it may be time to just start doing offshoot stuff like, hey, maybe it's time to make Jason X2. Maybe it's time to do Jason in Hell. Maybe it's time to do some of these outlandish Jason versus Leatherface and other things that have sort of been talked about over the years, and get into that stuff. But if you spend a few years really refining the franchise, it's just going to create longevity down the line, where eventually it will get silly and then it will run out of steam and we'll have to reset again, maybe in another decade or two. But that, for my sense, is where it goes. If it starts off too silly right away, I think the runway is shorter. I think they get less seasons out of it. And I'm not sure how far they get into the movies, because people aren't just going to take it seriously. And the films should be fun, but they should be interesting. And I think that the kills should be visceral. And I think that they should surprise us and scare us, because that's what the old Friday the 13th did. And that's what I'm hoping to see. Goofy is exactly what I hope it is not. The remake had way too much Goofy into it. Exactly. It took me out way too much. Like when Wayne at the beginning of the movie is like, y'all know where we are. Oh man, he was got this kid and he like died. And he just told the story without any reverence. He told the story without any sense of like telling a campfire story. He was just like all coked up, just yelling at his friends. And it just sort of ruins the moment for me, versus the way we approached it with Andrew in Never Hike Alone, when Kyle's addressing the camera and he's like, my brother used to tell me stories about this place and blah, 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 and the murders that happened. And he's really serious about it. And even though he laughs it off, he at least sets the tone and gives it its due, because that's what you have to do in these films. You got to give the story its due, and you got to give it that sort of seriousness, because that sets the tone for everything else. And then after that, it became about stupendous tits, in 2009, and don't pigeonhole me because I'm black. And you're like, well, what kind of music is it? Oh, rap. Like that was supposed to be some kind of funny joke. And I know Shannon and Swift hate me because they always talk shit to me on Twitter, because I've talked shit to them too, and I don't mean anything personal by it. I just don't think that they are great with Friday the 13th concept. I just don't think they're great with dialogue. I think they make kind of goofy, dumb characters. Look at The Walking Dead. People loved all of the drama. Yeah, no, I think that it's true. Hannibal, Bates Motel, all that stuff. I don't want it to go into American Horror Story land. I want it to be, and maybe that's what was going on. Maybe the other version was going to be more like a American Horror Story from Brian Fuller. Maybe Brad Caleb Kane is going to bring the seriousness that, look at the trailer for Welcome to Derry. It's got a serious tone to it. There's no goofiness going on there. That's a real place with real people going through real problems. And they're not hiring Linda Cardellini and William, say his name, Van Catlett, because those are two serious actors. I know they've done comedy in the past, but I got a feeling they're building a really good cast here. This is going to be a good ensemble. Matt Van Voorhees, I think the series actually would be a great opportunity to bring in the new fans. If it's on par with Wednesday as far as quality, I think it will be good. Exactly. And that's another important point, Matt. Great comment. New fans. Nobody lives forever. We want this franchise to carry on. I know I do, because the more Friday the 13th fans that come along, eventually they're going to run out of movies to watch, and they're going to be like, what else is out there? And all of a sudden someone's going to go, have you ever seen Never Hike Alone? And then they're going to go down that Never Hike Alone trip, and that's just going to keep our films alive that much longer. And I'll prove to CJ Graham that these things are going to last a lot longer than he thinks they are. Ghost Jason's in the chat. What's up, buddy? Throwing axes. Whoa. The William Catlett Levon Sheriff role is from Screen Rant via Nexus News Point. All right, Screen Rant. Catlett Levon Sheriff. Bam. Let's see. I don't see anything yet. All right, let's go to Screen Rant. William. I don't see it yet. David Gordon Green, thank you. Everyone's chiming in. Wow, I'm that far behind. Marcy, can't stop tonight. What do you feel like it's when Kevin Williamson was involved as a writer? What do you feel he could bring to the Friday the 13th franchise? And is some of Brian's ideas still attached to this series now? And how can I know what he wanted? Just got to DM me. Email me at wampstompfilms@gmail.com. Where is it? Boo-boo. Back to comments. Oh my God, I missed so much stuff, guys, because I've been rambling. Nope, too far. Stunt actors, if hang on, let me go back through these, Marcy, and I'll come back to you. There we go. Austin, I'm sure if you're asked all the time, but I've always wondered and don't know the answer. How are you able to make NHL films without being sued due to copyright infringement? I will say, check out Ghost Files episode 1. I go over this, but there are 5 rules. Mostly it's, I can't say this is a Friday the 13th film. I have to say this is a fan film. This is unofficial. I have to make that there. I can't sell it in terms of, I can't sell it for distribution. I can't put it in the theater and make money off it. I can crowdfund. We can pool our money to, like, I can get together with my friends and pool my money and make something. I just can't use it to then make an income, but I can use it to generate stuff for the movie. So buying, renting locations, getting equipment, buying effects, and hiring people to come on board as contractors. That I can do. I said something that was interesting, so that's nice. I have ADHD too. I can't remember obscure facts, but have to come up with weird associations to remember. I do the same thing too. I remember people by like the way they act, or there's something about like they remind me of someone else, or if they have the same name of someone else that I know, I just attach them to that name, and that's how I have to remember them. Jason jumping into the lake is a great moment in NJ2. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. That seems to be a favorite for a lot of people. Shout out to Ben Meredith for my DP on that, because we had a lot of fun making that. Maybe with Scott Derrickson, James Wan, or Lee Winnell, or James DeMonico, I couldn't agree more than that. But I would say that Blumhouse, with their low budget and spoilers in the marketing, would be bad for. Yeah, maybe the marketing would be kind of tough. Of course, that had to be an Anakin before Darth Vader, but fans really just want the Darth Vader. Too much time spent with the non-masked Jason could be off-putting. And that's why one season, guys, stick with it for one season. Wamp Stomp, the William Catlett playing the sheriff, comes from Screen Rant. I did see that, so I got to try to look that up. This is really good. Great logical way to explain how he grows up. I'm a he, by the way. Oh, okay. Marcus. Oh, okay. Sorry, Marcus. My bad. I just saw Marcy, so I was like assuming, because I was thinking Marcy's Playground. Stunt actors, if the look involves heavy costume, low acting, body language stuff, this type of stuff is best left to people who know how to work through heavy makeup. Yeah, no, I think that there's there, but I think there's a lot of people that can get that done. Man, I wish they hadn't canceled Swamp Thing. That thing was so cool. Shout out to Kelsey Burke, who was one of the effects artists on Never Hike Alone, worked on Swamp Thing. And in fact, I think she went from Never Hike Alone to Swamp Thing. And I think they stopped making them because they were super expensive. Or Grant, give me that gangly, tall, lanky hunter. Love it. Ghost Jason is going to be hard to top, hopefully. That's an excellent idea for bridging the gap. I've never considered Jason being the one to drive the separation. I did also love Mears. He was great. I hated they never said Voorhees in 2009. Yeah, that's actually a good point. The problem with the name actors is I feel that they would really want to show their face. If Jason is unmasked, I prefer him to be unrecognizable. Yeah, I think we'll probably, like they did Johnny in A Violent Nature, I think that they handled that pretty well. And the Pedro Pascal of it all. Like, Mandalorian, I got to take my helmet off. They got to see my face. And we all know that most of the time it's not Pedro Pascal under the helmet. It's some stunt actor doing most of the work, and he's just doing the voice. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, no, I do think that is a general concern. And if they hire me, you see me. I know how to act in a costume. I know how to wear the body language. I'm ready. Yeah, I kind of hate these guys who have the mindset that they can plan a better Jason because they're more jacked or whatnot. Yeah, I don't think Jason's jacked. They don't have benches at Crystal Lake. I'm coming to your next one, Marcus. Films these days, superhero films, for example, they use every excuse to have them unmasked. Yep, another great point. Okay, here we go. Marcy's got another one for me. What did you feel like when Kevin was a writer, could bring back the Friday the 13th franchise? Is some of Brand's ideas still attached to the series now? And how can I know what he wanted? It was awesome that Kevin Williamson was attached. He's a very good writer. And I know him and Brian work really well. And they talked about that. There was an episode that was going to be one long chase, sort of back to not Trish, Higgins. What is the Higgins girl name? I'm forgetting. You guys need to help me out in a second, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Higgins running around sort of the end of part 3 was sort of an episode. I think that they would have been great. Nick Push is here. Marcy should buy chat the round of drinks. I know, right? What's up? What's up, Lars Harry? Hey, 50 people. That's awesome. Exactly. I do love to see the old movies could have been like if they had focused on more quality rather than speed, and the MPA hadn't cut them down so hard. Yeah, that was another problem too, is that they made it so they could do all these effects and kind of leaned off everything else, but then they cut out all the effects and they had to lean on the acting, which was not a big help. Marcy, you're the man. What's the conversation from DKK to USD though? I'm not sure. I'm not 1,000% sure. You're gonna have to ask a bank on that one. That's funny. Hey Nick, let's see. Bring back Jared as Clay Miller and Lexa Dong as Rowan. Ooh, I would love them to bring back Lexa for a Jason X2. That would be perfect nipple placement. Yeah. Yeah, not the best of Michael Bay. Oh, Michael Bay's not real. I mean, he's involved, but he's not involved. I do gotta say, I do like Platinum Dunes. The Texas Chainsaw remake, I love it. The Amityville remake, also love it. That's right, you heard me. The problem with going wild and stuff in an official production is that you are limiting yourself to future options and are stuck with the wild stuff like Jason Goes to Hell. Yes, very much. Also, shout out to Adam Marcus for a successful screening of Heart of Darkness this last weekend. Never Hike Alone producer Knightley Giamo was there in person. He's also a producer on that film, I think as a backer through, they were on Kickstarter, I think, or Indiegogo. Your boy has an interview in the film now confirmed. I was seen in the movie, so that's great. I'm awesome. I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be fun. They're doing a screening in LA pretty soon. What goes camping with rolling luggage bag and baby oil? Yeah, they walked through the entire forest with that was just stupid. Freddy's Nightmares, but didn't have so much goofy in it. Yep, exactly. I'm getting to your next one, Marcy, in a second. The remake wasn't goofy. It was the opposite, in my opinion. It put Jason back to like he's likely more human than undead. I agree with you to a certain point, Matt. So I was like, I don't know how old you are, but I was like fucking into this thing when I was watching it back in the day, like doing the research. And what I loved about what they said about 2009 was they wanted a first blood approach. And I felt like they had it through a certain point of the movie and then they lost it. And I think they had a really great chance to like lock it down. They just got too silly with it through most of the time. And then at the end, Jason gets like stabbed through the heart, a head in the wood chipper. And then for some reason, Clay and Whitney drag Jason down to the dock and throw him in the water just so they could do a water jump at the end. There was a lot of, I'll say the biggest problem with 2009, and I've said this before, is there's a lot of things that are written to, wouldn't this be a cool scene? And yeah, if it was just a scene that was only released in an individual sort of way, it would be a cool scene. But when you stack it up against the other scenes and you actually tell the story of Friday the 13th and all these, a lot of things don't make sense. Jason's supposed to be smart, recluse, hiding in the woods. Why is he shooting bows and arrows out into the lake and causing people to crash boats and leaving dead bodies all over the place? It makes no sense that the sheriff wouldn't investigate if Jason was actively going after people. Now, if those characters had gone into Crystal Lake and crossed the boundary and then received his wrath, now we're talking about tone and story logic that makes sense. And when I asked Shannon and Swift about this, they gave me the fucking rudest answer. They were like, oh, don't think about it that hard, basically type of answer. And I said, it was like, what happened to the boat? It just crashed up on show somewhere with an arrow in the back of somebody's head from Camp Crystal Lake. Like, are you serious? You didn't think that far ahead, but they don't expect the audience to think that far ahead. But some of us nerds do. And that the stuff like that ruins the movie for me. Wait, where are we going here? Yes, that's my actual dude. Your name is actual Van Voorhees. That's fucking awesome. Also, I've been kind of considering trying to crowdfund campaign with my own little idea. Jacob, anytime you want to crowdfund anything, you give me a call. I will show you how to do it. I'll set you guys up. We'll get you going. Marcy's in with another chat, buying around for everybody. I would fast can or fan hire either the Newton brothers, Benjamin Wallfish, or Hilder Gundator at Crystal Lake's composer, if you know them. The Newton brothers, I think I know. I think I know the Newton brothers. The other ones I don't know offhand, but these are some names I'm going to have to go look up. Doing it till you're 90. Yeah. An issue nowadays is people think everyone is a horror movie has to comment about how they could be in a horror movie, like it's a screen. Yeah, I know. I hate that. Oh, were we in a movie? What are we in a movie? I was actually been thinking about that. Like, it's like the worst line you can give your characters. I'm always the have you watch Never Hike Alone chick. Yes, please continue doing that. Yeah, the more Godzilla and Star Wars films and more Friday films as well. I would love all that stuff. Now I want to hate watch the reboot so I can pick out all the things that don't work. Maybe we should do a stream one time with that. I did like Baghead Jason in the reboot. Yes, vast improvement. That Baghead is beautiful work. Maybe there's some Baghead future and some Never Hike Alone stuff down the line. Maybe. Marcy must have hit a scratch up. Hey, what's up, Chuck? Good to see you, buddy. Look at this guy. Looks like you need to ice them legs, Vin. Looks like they're going to. Oh my God, I'm gonna come out to Pottsville. All right, you come out to Pottsville. What was the email again, Vince? Pretty easy. Wamp Stomp Films at gmail.com. Womp Stomp Films at gmail.com. Back to the comments. Man, you guys are rolling them in tonight. Great. Now I'm kind of there. Oh, wow. Another one? Holy shit. I thought I was at the end. I'll get to that next one in a second, Marcus. I'm just trying to find it because every time I click off of it, there's Chris. Yes, Chris Higgins. God damn it. I'm so stupid. That's how far back I am. What did you do when you worked on The Rookie? And please tell me if you met Nathan Fillion. I hope he's as awesome as he seems to be on screen. And does he know your NHA movie? So let me tell you guys a story. What was my job on The Rookie? I was a first team PA, production assistant, which means I work for the assistant directors department. The assistant directors are basically the generals that run the set. There's the general who's the first AD. There are like the lieutenants who are the second ADs. And then there are production assistants. And when you think production assistant, I know what you think. Oh, the guy who gets coffee. That's not what a production does on a feature film. There are four main types of production assistants. There's a first team PA, there's a key PA, there's a background PA, and there's a walkie PA. There are additional PAs, there are lockup PAs, and they all have different jobs. The first team PA, first team, is another word for the cast, the first cast, because there's first team, which is the actual cast, and then there's second team, which are the stand-ins. Now the stand-ins belong to the background PA, who also runs the background. So everybody who appears in the background of a film, that's run by a PA and a second AD who have to kind of wrangle like hundreds of people and feed them into the backgrounds. And we're actually, when you do that, when I've done that before too, but you actually design the background of like where people are going to sit, how people are going to walk through, how they're going to cross, who crosses camera, who crosses in the background. Maybe somebody hands a piece of paper off. So I was the first team PA, which means I hung out with Nathan Fillion every day for like 6 months. I gave him rides in the cart, rides in the van. We sat on set together. I read lines with him. In fact, there was one time, and I have a photo somewhere on my phone where he asked me to set up lights on our, we had a golf cart on Warner Brothers, and I rigged it all with lights, and I used tape to do it. And it looked really cool, and he loved it. And so he signed it, and he said, "Vin, you light up my life, Nathan Fillion." And so not only does Nathan Fillion, do I know who he is and does know who I am, but I also gave him a copy of the original Never Hike Alone, which he owns. So Nathan Fillion has Never Hike Alone in his library, which is pretty cool. I'm always about Jared coming back. Yeah, Jared's a good actor. My wife loves The Rookie. As a gift, I bought a cameo from Eric Winters. Eric is so cool. To give her a video green, she loved it. Eric is cool. Melissa is cool. Alyssa is cool. I was on the season where we had Afton, who left after season 1. There was a little bit of a tuffle there, but Afton was cool to me. I had a really good time with her. And then, oh my God, of all the people, why would I forget him? Because he was like my best friend. But he played the young rookie. His name starts with T. And I'll get it another time. I'll probably remember it a little later. But yeah, that whole cast was cool. And we had a lot of really cool guest stars coming through as well. I mean, Nathan Fillion has a lot of friends. So we got a fun chance to hang out with a lot of people. Marcus, I'm getting to your next question in a second. I think Jason Blum needs to buy the rights from Miller and Cunningham and start making Friday the 13th movies again. I do believe that at some point, somebody with a lot of money has to buy everything. If someone could just buy everything and just put it all under one roof, that would be my favorite thing. I still want NHA Jason versus DNN Freddy. In fact, now that you say that, Cecil pitched me an idea where he's going to release the photo of Ghost Jason versus Neo Freddy that we took. That's part of the Dylan's New Nightmare campaign. He's going to release it with the green screen still on, and people can just create their own background. So keep an eye out for that. Cool. To be honest, the 2000 film had me even with the goofiness and the dialogue all the way up to the kidnapping angle after that was out. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to shit on anybody for liking that movie. It does everything that a Friday the 13th should do. I just expected a little bit more out of a Friday the 13th that had 11 previous movies to study. Do you have a mailing list or anything where I can sign up to be notified when you're doing screenings and appearances? I always wanted to see any of the Never Hike Alone films on the big screen. Honestly, Austin, the best way to do that is to sign up for our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter. I announce everything every week at the beginning of the show. I always do a rundown of everywhere we're going to be and where we're playing. And anytime we have a screening coming up, I do share all that stuff on social media. So just follow us on social media. Again, that's going to be, well, I mean, it's not wampstompfilms@gmail.com, but it's at wampstompfilms. So there's that. NHA is my favorite. Thank you, Chuck. Here's Marcy again. Here is my fun idea for Crystal Lake episode, an entire episode with a one take like 1917 where it could showcase the victims and Jason in one take. You know, that might have been what Kevin Williamson was talking about. I wonder if it was going to be one long chase where it's almost like, I don't know if you're watching The Studio on Apple, but they do a lot of oneers and they do a lot of stuff where that's the style of cinematography that they use. An episode like that in Friday the 13th would be really rad. If you haven't seen it yet, we did sort of a test that's sort of a precursor to Never Hike Alone 3. It's called Ghost Jason Attacks, The Lost Tapes. It's in the Never Hike Alone library on this channel. If you go and look at it, it's a vertical video, but it's basically like one seamless take for like 17 minutes about a group of friends trying to get out of Crystal Lake. It's not the greatest quality. It's definitely not Never Hike Alone quality, but it was shot by Cortland Gordon, who plays Mark. He actually reprises a role as like just another random character in that film. But there's some pretty good proof of concept, and that's going to be the proof of concept for what we might do with something with Never Hike Alone 3. Not that we're going to make a vertical video film, but there's going to be aspects of that sort of experience where there's more Never Hike Alone in it. I wasn't that big of a fan of the outfit of Jason. The jacket just looked weird. I hated the jacket. That's one of the things. That's one of the reasons why I made the Ghost Jason jacket the way I did, was I felt that the jacket in 2009 was too big and it was too bulky and it looked too much like a trench coat. And it didn't feel like Jason. It felt like the Crow. And I needed them to dial it back and get back into the color scheme, which I like, which is green and brown. Cool. Oh, what's this? Let's see. Mainly Jason 13. I wasn't that big of a fan of the outfit in Jason. But, oh, yeah, I just answered that. 100% on Jason with DNN. Definitely insinuated in the reboot that the town knew Jason was out there and everyone sort of knew to stay away. Yeah, but at the same time, like, why would the sheriff stay away? People are dying. You know, it's like there's a line that like they got to cross. And so we never got to see like Jason outsmarting the cops. Like that would have been cool. You know what I mean? Like we saw Jason just like murder them at some point, which was kind of crazy. It just feels like, why would Jason throw his entire world away for this group of people? It just makes no sense. Here we go. Crawling Chaos. I think there was a Voorhees in the movie Sleepy Hollow. It's a Dutch name, I think. Oh, cool. What do you feel about Marcus Nispel that directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake? I think Marcus is a cool dude. I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't think I've ever seen Pathfinder. I might have fell asleep during it. Wasn't a big fan of 2009. I hold no ill will towards the guy because that guy's been so sweet to Friday the 13th fans. And he's pretty funny about the fact that like he admits that he wasn't the biggest Friday the 13th fan. And he just sort of kind of is like happy to be embraced by the fan base. So Marcus Nispel's cool in my book. Though how one builds a mansion lake house right on the edge of the property without an issue. Yeah, I know. Like that's sort of like, and yeah, they've never had an issue for all these years. And all of a sudden they have an issue. They have the boat on the water for all these years. And it's just this year that Jason shoots somebody in the head. I don't get it. I actually am currently working on a redesigned Husk right now, and I'm sketching out concepts instead of just immediately working on the costume. Jacob, you need to meet my friend Brandon Scott Murphy, who's Sculpt or Die in here. Maybe you guys have met before, but Brandon, Jacob is an amazing cosplayer and costume builder and effects artist himself. He's young, he's growing. You guys should talk at some point. You should give him some pointers. Jacob, Brandon went to Savini School of Art and Design. I don't know if it was called the Savini School of Art and Design, but he went to the Savini School of Effects in Pennsylvania. So if anybody want to talk about that stuff, you should definitely hit him up, and you guys should chew his ear off about that stuff. The first group of victims should have been the entire movie. Just write them less as porn stars and more like likable people. I agree. They hit us with a sequel bait, but with the hockey mask Jason. Yeah, I know they hit you with sequel bait, and then they never came back. And they were supposed to do a snow version, but that film never materialized. And it was because they were trying to make it too expensive. And I just don't think that my biggest problem with 2009 was it wasn't a good foundation for a new franchise, because they broke all their rules in the first movie and everything. It was like the cat's out of the bag at that point. Didn't make any sense. The Newton brothers worked with Mike Flanagan a lot for Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep was really good. Hilder scored Chernobyl, Aha, and the Joker films. And Benjamin Wallfish co-scored with Hans Zimmer on Blade Runner 2049. Oh, good. And it. Good pull. Give me all the Nathan stories. I love him so much. Okay, another Nathan story. We were... Nathan didn't always ride in the cart. He actually had a lot of toys on set. He actually had this giant trailer that was just his. I mean, he's like an EP on the show too. So like he gets a lot of perks. But he used to ride a bike back and forth to set. And there was one time where there was and they do the tours around Warner Brothers. And he acted like he crashed into the wall. Like I came around the corner and he was like on the ground acting like he crashed, and then he told me to like pull over, and it made it like we basically created the scene where it looked like I ran over Nathan Fillion on his bike, and I was panicking, and as a tram was going by at Warner Brothers. Another time I was driving him in the truck and or driving him in the cart, and a tram was approaching, and he just said, "Go with this." And he started yelling at me like I didn't get his coffee right. And I just started crying. I was like, "I'm sorry, Mr. Fillion. I won't get it wrong anymore. I swear to God, I'll land it right next time." And he's just like laying into me as we're driving by the cart. And as soon as the cart, like the tram came by, he like broke that character and looked at them and said, "Oh, hey, everybody," and just kept driving. That was really, really funny. Another cool Nathan story about like who he is. If you want to know who Nathan Fillion is, just as like, we had wrapped on set. He was going home for the day, and we got into the van and we were driving back to base camp, and he saw somebody in the crowd who had a sign that said, "Nathan, I came all the way from Canada." He stopped the van, hopped out of the van, talked to that fan for like 20 minutes, and then got back in the car and drove back. So he's very personable with his fans. He's super nice. He runs, he makes sure that like everyone's treated well on set. And that first season of The Rookie was really rough. But he was a champion to like make it a good time. He took care of us really well. Then we got the coolest gifts on that show. I got this really nice jacket. I got aviators, which, hang on a second. So, no, not this one. So check this out, guys. This is my gift from The Rookie season 1. Look at this, Cop Vin. You guys haven't even said anything about my mustache tonight, by the way. Shame on you. Look at this. Officer Playboy's back in the house. Figure I'd shave it back in. You guys can now see my desktop through the thing. So I'm going to do... I look like a porn star now. I should be in Friday the 13th, 2009. So we got that. That's it. I'm doing the rest of the show with the glasses on. Marcy's confirmed oil baron. Love it. Are there any signed perks available? Yes. I'll be signing the box sets. I didn't really put it on there right away just because signing can sometimes drain things down, but posters will be signed. Anything that you want to be signed, you just got to request it and we'll make sure things are signed. Yeah, Crawling Chaos is keep cracking me up. Let's see. Crawling Chaos. Yeah, it's good because if I die, you're going to inherit all my money. Just kidding you, mate. Let's see. What kind of coffee did Nathan like? What kind of coffee did Nathan like? I don't know. They always went to Crafty themselves. They never really did it, but Nathan didn't drink a lot of coffee. None of the actors really drank coffee. They were mostly drinking water and tea most of the time, because it would help their throats. And I believe Nathan drank tea most of the time, but he took care of most of his own stuff. Lots of cream, Ronnie. I like the idea of this show, but the showrunner doesn't give me much hope. Nick Antosca would have been a better replacement for Fuller, in my opinion. I give Brad Caleb Kane his due. He's done Tokyo Vice, Black Sails, Welcome to Derry, Warrior. The guy knows his stuff, and he's a big Friday the 13th fan. I think that's the main thing here, is that we need somebody at the helm who actually loves the series. And this guy's bringing it back to New Jersey. He's bringing it back to Novi Bosco. He's bringing it back to Blairstown. Let's give him some credit for doing the things that Friday the 13th fans have said they should have done decades ago. So he is at least on the right track. I don't know Brad well enough through, everything. I'm just kind of sort of just learning about him and more of what he's done. But I got to tell you, Tokyo Vice is one of my favorite shows in the last few years. I watched the shit out of that show. I couldn't wait for that show every week. I'm also just a big fan of everything that's like Japanese and related. I want to go to Japan at some point. If Marcy keeps supporting the channel, I might be able to get there at some point. I think Nathan drinks it black. He probably does. He gets his own coffee. He's down to earth. I always had to chase the actors over to Crafty. I thought the 2009 remake did well, but was one of the best horror remakes. Hey, some people love it. Some people like me don't love it as much. I just feel like it came and it went. I don't think it would have been a good foundation, but I kind of already went through that stuff. Dude, all right. I didn't just watch Paul Rubens' doc. I cried. Like, I was literally like in tears. I really started thinking about it because, all right, so if you guys haven't seen it, I can't remember what it's called. It's called the Pee-wee Story or something like that. It's a documentary on HBO right now. It is an incredible story, Paul Rubens' story about, what he went through and how he created Pee-wee and like his journey. You have to understand that like Pee-wee's big adventure, and he talks about it in the documentary. My Life is Pee-wee. That's what it is. He talks about the scene where they went onto the set where he met Tim Burton and he brought Tim Burton on and they went onto the Godzilla set and he drove through Godzilla set. I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Pee-wee's big adventure. And it was just, for me, like, as a kid, you see it, somebody's already a star and all that stuff. But to hear Pee-wee's story about where he went, man, there were so many things that like I just sort of related to with him and his drive to want to do what he wanted to do. And, and all that stuff. And it was just, and everything that he went through, like when you go back and you think about it, like who cares that he was at an adult theater playing with his junk? I'm sure there were plenty of people in there doing that, but because he was Pee Wee Herman, they hung him out to dry. It was embarrassing. He bounced back from that. And then he got prosecuted for that other stuff. And that was sort of a witch hunt, but you got to watch the documentary, and just the story of it's sad because he was in the middle of making this documentary and then he passed away from cancer. It's just, oh my God, I was just sitting there with tears rolling down my cheeks because, at the end of the day, when I was a kid, Pee-wee was a hero to me. I watched Pee-wee's Playhouse every weekend. I was all about that stuff, and listening to, like, you guys got to watch this thing because it is just so funny. And I'm telling you, it is the atmosphere on Pee-wee's Playhouse is sort of the atmosphere in the animation world where the people behind the scenes are like some of the goofiest, weirdest, like adult humor type people, and they sneak stuff in all the time. That's how we got Ren and Stimpy and Rocko's Modern Life and stuff like that. Go from there. Let's see. Yeah, the jacket looked bad on him. I wish they gave him a Dickies work shirt. Me too. Everyone's saying what's up. I have faith in the new showrunner, but I'm still very killed that Brian Fuller isn't involved. But for my second pick would have been Scott Buck that had written for Dexter. Oh, that would have been another good one too. Bing. Nathan Fillion did a podcast interview with Mike Rowe recently, and it was great. Oh, I bet it was. Yeah, there you go. Good. Now I want you guys to get connected. Let's see. Oh my God, guys. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. Oh, wow. I've been going an hour 40. Wow. All right, guys, it's almost 10 o'clock. I got to drive to Pennsylvania tomorrow. So we're going to do Pee-wee as himself. There it is. You look like a corrupt cop from the 80s. Bro, I'm going to be in a movie where I'm playing Ski Patrol and I get a gun. So this is the look, right? I mean, if this isn't with the long hair and the mustache and the glasses, I want to be out on the slopes with a headband. I'm a snowboarder, but I'm going to go back to skiing just for that movie. There we go. I've always gotten told that I'm like the love child between John Krasinski and Nathan Fillion. Wow. which I've always liked, even though it's a bit obscure. That's a good combo, man. When Robert the Wolfman popped in, he definitely shouted out your stash. Okay, I didn't see it. Jason Takes Japan. That would be a good one. Whew, tornado alert. Can't. Well, that's good. I thought it's funny. I got a little bit of dyslexia right now. I thought you said pedo alert. This is definitely for the stash. I would definitely do that. Definitely be accused of that. I mean, not that I would do it. It's the mustache's fault. Vince in the 80s cop show, Private Dicks. I'm gonna have to call James Sweet. We're gonna have to get this show together. Private Dicks sounds fun. I look like, you know what? I look like I belong in a Beastie Boys music video. Let's see. The show needs to avoid too many kills per episode. Slow down and ground it with best. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to get away with a kill per episode. That's going to be interesting. I need to watch it. I love Paul Rubens' Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's phenomenal, and I love the Playhouse show. Yeah, you definitely got to watch it. It's definitely there. I'm watching Big Adventure right now. Dude was so talented and could have done so much better. I know it's a shame that he kind of got railroaded. The Amityville remake was good. Yes, another person who believes that, but the house was horrible. The Toms River, New Jersey house was awesome. Yeah. That's definitely true. When SNL turned him down and he took his things into his own hands, a great lesson. Yeah, no, it really is. When one door closes, another one opens, and it's amazing the things that kind of happen in people's lives. Wow, this guy. Alley Girl thinks I'm special because, okay, I'm going to jump over that because you guys are talking. How about Colt Magnum, the cop show? All right. You know, we're going to start writing these down. Colt Magnum. Hold on. I'm writing it down. I have my little, I keep these by, because they always come helpful. Colt Magnum. I think that will be my name in the show. Colt Magnum. Maybe I'm related to Magnum PI. What was the other one? I like that other show name too. Where was it? That was a good one. Oh, I just look like a corrupt cop from Mommy. Oh, there it is. Private Dicks. All right. See, what happens was when you guys give me fuel like this, my brain runs with it. And by tomorrow, I'll have like a whole show like outlined in my head. And that's another thing I'm gonna have to crowdfund for down the line. Let's see. He kept his illness a secret and he apologized at the end that he did that. Yeah, I know. It was I mean, it was, I don't know, it's just really special. You guys gotta watch it. Pee-wee, there are things you wouldn't understand, things you couldn't understand, things you shouldn't understand. Love that movie. Large Marge stays with you. I love Large Marge. She's one of my favorites. Officer Playboy's alive. They stuck his guts back in. Actually, I keep telling James Sweet that him and both of our characters are coming back, and I'm going to be in a wheelchair with a colostomy bag. And so I'm going to be in a wheelchair, and James is going to have a hook hand. He's going to have a little he's going to have a good hand. He's going to have like a mechanical hand that can like crush steel. And then the other guy who lost his hand, the main character, has like a squeaky hook, and we're going to call him Squeaky Pete is the running joke. All right. Do you know if there were any notorious directors or writers that had pitched a Friday the 13th movie idea? Who do I know that has pitched something? I do know that Hugh Jackman wanted to be involved at some point during the years. I don't know of any crazy directors that wanted to get involved. I know they rumored Quentin Tarantino at one time, but I think he shot that rumor down. Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised there's not more big time directors that haven't gone after it. Yeah, exactly. I belong in the Sabotage music video. I remember Ryan Reynolds said the house was in bad shape in an interview, but he was in great shape in the movie. Could do it. Vinny, you could play Cobra in a remake. Here we go. Cobra fan film. Cobretti. Cobra fan film. People wouldn't even know what fucking hit him if I did a Cobra fan film. Let's see. Colt Magnum. Just don't get disemboweled again with a chainsaw. Yeah. What's going on, Vince? Hey, what's up, Matt? Good to see you. I think for you, those of you who don't know, I'm going to be on with Matt pretty soon. We're going to be watching Friday the 13th part 6 and talking about it in a couple of weeks. I think we're pre-recording it, and then you're going to post it later on Friday the 13th, or that's going to be another night. But keep an eye out. If you are not following Facci Cinema, definitely jump over there now because I'm going to be on with him in a very, very soon. Basically a handicap version of Inspector Gadget with you as James Cop Show. Oh my God. Inspector Gadget. This is like, I am your AI prompt. You guys are just plugging stuff in. I'm like that guy who gets like 1 million views. He's like, all right, we're going to do Mad Libs and I'm going to pitch something. That was me before. That was just me my whole life. Let's see. LeBron James is a fan and wanted to produce. That's correct. And I'm glad he didn't. I made a large Marge portrait in Blender for my Instagram. That's pretty rad. Yes, Vinny, this could be a Cobra 2 as Vinny Compretti. All he needs is a black leather jacket, a 9mm gun, and some tight ass pants plus Stallone's that, oh, yo, I'm just going to have to go out there and shoot him. Sometimes you just got to go out and take out the trash. Hey, what's up, Anna? Coming in kind of late, but long time no see. He has a must. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I also have these cop glasses from the rookie. So that's something. The legendary effects artist Rob Bottin was originally going to do Freddy versus Jason. Did a lot of pre-production work for it. He wrote it and was supposed to direct it. Yeah, there's that book out there that kind of goes through all that. I actually never read it, but I should. I'm gonna do that. Matt's here. Sounds like a horror com. Yep. It will be live, so people get to enjoy all of our expertise. I mean, your expertise, huh? No, we're gonna go back and forth. It's gonna be fun. So definitely, we're gonna be live in a couple of weeks. I can't remember what we changed the date already. You got that. So we'll get into that in a minute. A modern day Dirty Harry. That'd be fun. I love the Dirty Harry movies. Oh, I'm so glad. Last thing I wanted to do was watch fucking LeBron James put his name all over Friday the 13th. It would have just been so insufferable. It's like Friday the 13th got so close to being like me just having to walk away. I'm so glad it didn't go that way. Hockey playoffs. Sorry. Hey, yeah, Stanley Cup's coming. I'm surprised Ali's we probably watch them both. You're a lousy shot. I hate a lousy shot. Bam. Now I'm finally all caught up in comments. That is insane. I think I've never had so many comments. Where are you tonight? I mean, person of the night tonight, Marcy, thank you so much for the tremendous support of the stream tonight. That is going to be amazing. That's really going to help us out a big time. I've been trying to put some of the stuff that's you've been earning on the streams aside so I can come up with some more short films that we're going to be making over the next couple of weeks. I am going to be wrapping up here in a little bit, but thank you everybody tonight. Hold on, let me see. I got one last little question right here who made your hoods for the NHA films? On my channel, I have a Freddy versus Jason horror costume studio hood review. CFX Louisiana. It's the deformed hood. And if you order it from CFX Louisiana, you can order it in Ghost Jason Gray, and they will do it the very specific Never High Cologne style that we have requested for them over the year. Yeah, but it's 2 more weeks to Friday the 13th. If Friday the 13th isn't the shit, then Saturday the 14th will be even shittier. Wake up and smell the AARP card. Kane Hodder, smother. That's funny. My team choked, so rip Maple Leafs. Sorry to hear they lost. Well, my Celtics fell out too. Not that they're my Celtics, but my brothers are big Friday the 13th. I mean, are big Celtics fans. So I was sad to see them go. But did the Knicks end up surviving last night? They probably did. They were ahead by a lot. But yeah, guys, we've been going for an hour and 50, and I'm running out of steam. But thank you for joining the cast this week. This has been a wonderful stream. You guys have been kicking ass tonight, asking a lot of great questions. I really thought I was going to do a 45-minute episode tonight and be done because I didn't have that much to talk about, but you guys asked some amazing questions. Florida, again, they're going to go back to back. That's boring. It's so funny. You guys are just crying about hockey in the chat. I'm sorry, you guys. Oh, look at you guys. You got a Panthers fan in here. You guys are going to start fighting. What if our Vinny got to be on the inside with you, Michael Rosenbaum's podcast? Yeah, dude, I would love to do that. Kidding me? That guy has a great podcast. I love his podcast. He has a lot of really good stuff. Yeah, a lot of people out there. Let's see. Yeah, you guys should. I'll send you his. I'm probably sure you don't mind, Brandon. I'm going to send him your email, and that way you guys can reach out and get in touch, and I could probably send it to you as well. So we'll do that. But anyway, thank you guys tonight for watching the stream. This has been an amazing time. Again, just before I forget, I'm going to pull this back real quick. Don't forget, this week, 2 things. Let's spread around this hashtag We Want Wamp Stomp involved with Friday the 13th. Make sure you're tagging Brad Caleb Kane. Make sure you're tagging the Jason Universe, A24, and Peacock. Let's keep pounding the pavement, getting out there and spreading the word. Let's spread the word about Ghosts in the Fog. Let's get on the Indiegogo. Let's spread those links around. And definitely, if you haven't already, and if you're coming to the late, definitely check out the campaign for Slay, which just launched today, which is currently at, I'm going to reload. It's at $15,105 with 28 backers. They actually had somebody get a $10,000 perk for the associate producer perk that's going to be on the IMDb. So that's really cool. They have 43 days to go. But Ghost in the Fog, whew, man, we are really going to call it close on this one if we don't find something to do. We are currently sitting at 118 backers with $13,217. And we need to get to $50,000, people. We're only at 26%. So please get the word out there this week. Share all that fun stuff. Let me see anything there. Yes, thank you guys. Tonight was a fun stream. I really do appreciate you. Share the word. Be good to each other. And until next time,